Today, the little guy fights back. Revenge of the Bullied is a fun little mod for Europa Universalis that flips the script for Europe in 1444 and makes a few of the smaller nations that usually get eaten up early in the game into the major powers. Byzantium, Scotland, Granada, Novgorod, and many more. If you want to check out the mod, it's linked in the description, as well as the Patreon if you want to get early access to future videos. Question of the day. What is the most underrated idea group in base game EU4? I have a couple of opinions, but I'm curious what you guys think. Let us know in the comments below the video. This mod is awesome, and I love it already. I haven't even unpaused, and I am in love. Nations like the Teutons, Hungary, Byzantium, of course, are massive. The scope is only Europe at the moment, but maybe it will grow. We'll see. If you like it, it's going to be linked in the description, so make sure you check it out as well. I have my eyes up on the British Isles. Wales or Cornwall might be my pocket pick, but the Great Horde over here is very, very strong, probably the strongest nation in the region if I had to guess, though they are competing with the other Russian bear up in the north. Of course, the Reconquista is underway and Granada is conquering Iberia. Of course, we have our breakaway states like Sicily, Sardinia, Catalonia, the Balearic Islands. We're probably going to see something happen with that as well. All these independent tags are definitely going to make things a little more interesting, at least over here. But of course, you guys know the drill. We turn it up to speed 5 and we unpause. And revenge it is. Byzantium getting tons of claims over here with their mission tree and declaring war on the Ottomans essentially day 1. And yeah, I think they're probably going to win. Of course, no surprise, Ming is still the #1 great power in the world, but Novgorod and Byzantium are the new number 2 and 3, with Hungary in 4, Mamluks, Teutons in 6th, Andalusia has formed from Granada in 7th place, and the Great Horde in 8th. So the Bullied are actually making up 6 of the top 8, which is, I actually didn't expect that, but there you go. And also I need to make sure that I point out the culture map mode is the same, I think, but the religious map mode is all Sunni in the south over here and all Orthodox on the coast over here. So those guys have been flipped. Hungary making some inroads over here into Wallachia, also at war with Serbia. So they might take some land over here. Wouldn't be surprised at all. And I just noticed this. Hilariously, Austria is a march of Hungary. So funny.
Look how they massacred my boy.
And Cornwall and Wales are both subjects of Scotland. And even better yet, Perm and Muscovy are subjects of Novgorod. Very funny. Though we'll see how that goes for them. Muscovy not really too keen on their overlord. Yep, Byzantium definitely was not having it. They annexed basically all of the Ottomans and their ally, and now the Ottomans are a 1 province minor about to get annexed by the Mams. Oh, and this is a good one. Hungary has annexed half of Serbia, and the other half was annexed by Albania. So in this timeline, Kosovo is Albania, and I don't know what these guys did to deserve it, but Galicia Volhynia is getting ganged up on by literally every single person that borders them except for Moldavia and Hungary. Probably not going to go well for them. And of course, because it is inevitable, Burgundy formed France. They formed France. And seemingly without any delay here, they accord up Kosovo, and Albania is pushing into Bulgaria as well. That name placement, beautiful. And of course, yes, the Teutons have their subjects of Lithuania and Mazovia. Mazovia is actually disloyal, but we'll see how things go. There's probably going to be a bit of a Thunderdome over here. But Novgorod and Byzantium allying is probably one of the bigger power moves of the game so far. So clearly there's going to be a bit of a power block over here on the east side. And Skanderbro tried so hard and got so far, but in the end, it doesn't even matter. Looks like Byzantium's coming for that ass, and they are going to probably take tons of land. They have claims on a bunch of their land over here, so, but they did quite good for only making it 7 years in, so kudos to Albania. They live on in our hearts. I think they may be my pocket pick for this run. Meanwhile, uncontested, the most aggressive Hungary I have ever seen. They full annexed Moldavia, and they are now attacking Venice to take over the land over here, and they have an ally of France and Brandenburg. They've also got claims on all of the land up here, and with the Teutonic Order's disloyal subjects, it's probably not going to go well for them. And I haven't really been mentioning it, but Andalusia is making their progress over into the Maghreb, and it looks like a couple of people in northern Iberia are starting to consolidate that development. Galicia is gone, and Castile is about to get split between a couple of boyos over here. And of course, France, with all of their cores and new claims, is going to be causing quite a bit of ruckus over here, specifically for Provence getting dominated by them, because France is inevitable. And it appears that Hungary got a little bit too big for their britches. 6,000 men against Venice's 20,000. They're getting rolled right now in this war. I don't think they're going to lose a whole lot. They'll probably give up a couple of border provinces, but still, just goes to show you that just because you're big doesn't mean you're going to be strong. And yep, Castile is now gone, and we have Long Aragon pushing all the way from Roussillon into central Castile. So that's a thing. Yeah, I mean, it's not too bad, all things considered. They only lost like 5 or 6 provinces. So all things considered, for getting dominated in a war, they didn't lose a whole lot. And the rise before the fall, Andalusia full annexes the entirety of Aragon, and Leon full annexes the entirety of Asturias. So that's the thing. Catalonia still holding on, but it looks like a couple of these guys over here are getting handled as well. Meanwhile, the Great Horde is being made great again, annexing a large chunk of Nogai, and they're actually annexing quite a bit of land over in Lithuania, creating some good border gore, in my opinion. And you can't count out Tyrol over here, annexing the majority of the development in Austria. Scotland seemingly having some pretty serious issues pushing into Northern Ireland, but England is annexing the majority of Southern Ireland. I assume it's from claims from their missions, but I don't really know. Either way, these guys are actually having a civil war disaster right now, and so we'll see how they make it out on that one. And I guess I did say that I was rooting for Cornwall. I just didn't think that they would be doing this well so fast. They annexed most of Scottish territory over in Ireland, as well as, what is this, the Midlands, I think this area is called. As well as just one random province up here. So yeah, Scotland not doing well. Wales actually took a province, so these people over here in Kilgore are actually sheepshaggers now as well. And by the way, when I make sheepshagger jokes, I always get people that will say something like, hey man, that's offensive. It's a joke. And I know Welsh people who very much think that it is a funny joke. Andalusia is doing pretty well. They've actually pushed all the way up to the northern coasts. And Jingoist Novgorod is pushing into the Baltic states. And meanwhile, over in China, Ming has annexed almost all of Oirat, and Jiangsu has taken over most of Mongolia. Tibet has formed, but Timurids have taken over the majority of the land over here in Punjab. But Malwa has actually eaten up most of Bamanis, and Jaunpur has pushed over here into Mewar. Bengal's still hanging in there, but they're not blobbing, which I like to see. But Vijay is probably the strongest nation in the region next to the Timurids. Kilwa making their way up the East Africa coast, and Congo making their way into the Congo. And this random Yatenga tag is taking over the majority of the debt over here in sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, now I am definitely rooting for Cornwall, a pirate republic. And I don't know if they were in 1444, but they are now. Meanwhile, borders are cleaning up. Andalusia has pushed all of the other tags out of Iberia except for Provence. France and Provence are splitting France diagonally. Byzantium is pushing into the Memluks, and Hungary is pushing into Poland. Meanwhile, the Great Horde is pushing into everybody, and Novgorod is just kind of holding still up north. Also, a little bit of good old border war up here. You have Bremen and Sweden taking over random lands from Denmark. And in 1548, the Age of Reformation has spawned, and quite a few things have changed. Let's take a look. Protestantism is not doing very well. There's only a few of them, but obviously with less tags, that makes a lot of sense. The Pirates of Cornwall have established a Cornish France as well as Cornwall over here in Ireland. Though do not fret, my friends, the Isle of Man is an independent nation. Danish Britain is a thing because Scotland broke free and then Denmark immediately attacked them and then full annexed them. Andalusia is racing across northern Africa, and as is Byzantium, pushing all the way into the Mamluks, splitting a lot of their land with Ethiopia, of all people. Byzantium has also pushed well into Mesopotamia, though the weirdest looking Timurids I have ever seen is making their way over as well. Ming, who has overcome the unguarded nomadic frontier disaster, is huge and actually has most of Manchuria and is pushing all the way up, almost bordering the Ural Mountains. Now, obviously, it's too early to say, but we may actually see a game where Ming does not explode. I'll believe it when I see it. And of course, Andalusia has done a bit of colonization, not a whole lot, but there is a presence over here in South America. Meanwhile, the Dominican Republic over here is being colonized by the Dutch, and Acadia is Danish, and out of the scope of this mod, but Aztecs are absolutely dominating over here in Mexico. And of course, I spoke too soon. Timurids have attacked the Ming because the Ming actually do have zero mandate. They have some rebels, and they are losing the war against the Timurids and Bengal. So yeah, we'll see. Also, 1444 Korea borders is pretty sweet. I don't know how that happened. They actually even have a couple of provinces up here in Manchuria. And of course, Ming collapsed, though in 1.35 it might not be as common if you guys have been keeping up on the dev diaries. Regardless, Korea looking good. Shun is here. Ming has been split between Ayutthaya, Wu, and Yu in the south. And it turns out that Taiwan is actually Japan. Bengal still doing pretty good with Delhi, Malwa, and Vijay hanging on over here in southern India. But of course, Timmy pushed and did form the Mughals, looking very solid. And a beefy Russia has formed by Novgorod and has pushed the Great Horde out of the Horde lands. It's pretty funny to see a Muscovy here with their capital of Moskva in the hands of Russia/Novgorod. While they are, just a couple of random enclaves. You guys know about the French colony of Ostergotland, right? Cornwall's still clinging on, though France is very scary at this point, getting most of their cores. But how about the border war going on over in Andalusia? Hungary, Majorca, and Brazil have taken over a bunch of random lands, as well as one province from Sicily down here in the south. Hungary is still doing well in their own right. They have some land in northern Italy as well as over here into the Caucasus, but only to be outshined by Byzantium, Eastern Roman Empire over here. Though they have lost a province or two over here, especially to Hungary, but they're looking very good all the way down to Mecca, all the way into Yemen, and well down into Nubia. So very solid game for Byzantium so far. And there's still plenty of time left. It's only 1700. Of course, the New World has filled in. We have Argentine down here with England bordering them because, yes, the English capital is in this Puerto Deseado, or however you pronounce that. Aside from that, most of South America is Andalusian, Colombia, Peru, as well as La Plata, and Brazil has broken free from Andalusia, and the left coast went almost exclusively to Andalusia, but the Dutch got most of the rest, whether it's in the interior or over here on the east coast, splitting it with Denmark up here in Canada. And the Dutch East Indies are in control of the entirety of the Caribbean. With 120 years left, Hungary is out in front, but only by like 150 development in front of Andalusia, though I don't think that's going to go for long considering the fact that they're getting beat up on by former subjects. Mughals are in third place with Byzantium in fourth, Ayutthaya, Russia, Bohemia, and then Holland in the 8th spot with 1300 development. Though I am very much still excited to see a pirate kingdom of Cornwall doing pretty well in their own right with their pirate king of Jory Quintrell. The Reformation was crushed for sure with Protestants over here in the British Isles as well as in the lowlands in northern France, and Reformed over here in Iberia, but they're definitely the minority. And in quite possibly what is the weirdest timeline I've ever seen in this game, Canadians speak Danish and the United States and Mexico both speak Dutch while surrounded by people who speak Andalusian, which I assume is Spanish of some sort. It's hard to say actually, because in this timeline, Andalusia was never conquered by Spain. So probably like a Berber sort of dialect. I don't know actually. Either way, Cuba is also Dutch, and South America actually hadn't changed a whole lot, though it looks like whoever conquered Argentina in the south before was conquered by Great Britain, because of course you know that Cornwall had to form Great Britain, and we now have the Grand Pirate Confederacy led by Grand Admiral Espen Cabot of Great Britain. So didn't think I'd ever see it, but yes, we have it. And if you can believe it, Europe is actually more messy than it was in 1444, at least it looks like it to me. The revolution ravaged Hungary, and Hungary actually was destroyed and completely dismantled between Bohemia, and then obviously you've got Byzantium over here, and a couple of various tags that have popped out around the corners. Very interestingly, we have a Romania, and I don't actually know who it was formed by. I assume Wallachia. We have Russian colonies over here in West African coast, and despite them not existing in 1444, Poland is inevitable. Poland has shown up, and they are revolutionary, though the bulk of their majority of their dev is in Transylvania and Slovakia. Russia did as Russia does, and they conquered the majority of the land over here, well over into northern China, as well as Manchuria. They have Vladivostok. Though they didn't steal the show, Bengal did do quite well. I feel like we haven't seen a very strong Bengal in a while, so I'm happy to see it. A welcome return. India was split between a very beefy Mughals, Bengal, and Malwa, and this one little bit of Ashikaga land down here, because Ashikaga united Japan barring one province, but didn't form Japan. Betsa-Misaraka colonized New Zealand, and Andalusia split Australia with Malwa and Ashikaga, as well as one province over here for Betsa-Misaraka. And the East Indies are split between a bunch of people, including Ashikaga, Congo, and Dutch Malaccas over here. Of course, you have to talk about Ayutthaya getting pushed out of Ayutthaya and into Cambodia and Laos, Vietnam, and Malaysia, as well as parts of Indonesia. The religious map mode actually looks very similar to what it did last time we took a look. Over here in the New World is split between Sunni and Catholic. In South America is mostly Sunni with a couple of Protestant tags sprinkled throughout. Eastern Asia is definitely a mess with Eastern Orthodox ruling the day in the north, Sunni in the central parts, and then over here I think it's for the most part pretty much consistent with what it is before. You've got a lot of Confucian, a couple of animist Buddhists, though it does look like some of the land over here was converted by Bengal to Sunni. The cultural map mode actually isn't super impressive to look at, though the Czechs have pushed out of their lands and into some land over here, Bavarian and Franconian. Romanians surround Transylvanian, which I actually didn't know was a unique culture, but I assume this land over here is, and it was converted to Romanian. Novgorodian is definitely prolific over here, especially in the Baltic states where it certainly has been converted. Muscovite over here, and then the rest over here is all Novgorodian. New World is very much Platinian in the south with some Andalusian, and then the north is Mexican and Andalusian with a lot of Dutch and a lot of Danish. Sadly, it looks like the Finns, Karelians, and the Sami are absolutely gone in this timeline, and some Austrian was pushed over here by, I assume, Tyrol. The Persians definitely pushed out as well. I think Luri is the major culture over here, but they have definitely been pushed out, and the Kurds are mostly gone due to Turks, Syrians, and it looks like Armenians might have done a bit of culture conversions. Regardless, the number one great power of the world is Andalusia, despite getting beat up on by their former subject of Brazil earlier, followed very closely by the Mughals, and then a revolutionary Bohemia, Russia, Bengal, revolutionary Byzantium, Malwa, and then Congo, believe it or not, in the 8th spot. Mughals are stacking up economic hegemon, and if we were to let it go a little bit longer, they would probably be doing quite a bit better as they get those goods produced stacked up. But we are going to leave it there today. I think at the very least, seeing Cornwall do what they did and Byzantium do what they did given their opportunities, I'm pretty happy about it. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. Leave a comment down below if you have a suggestion of something you'd like to see. Like the video if you haven't already, and subscribe for more content to come.